So where I learned to talk publicly is down on that Yarra bank, where they used to have piles of stones, didn't they? Well, they're still there. I saw them the other day. And the speakers used to get up on the pile of stones, and I was dragged there by some mob called the Catholic, what was it called in the old days? Catholic Evidence Guild, which had started in England in Hyde Park. And they tried it out in Melbourne, and we were down there on the Yarra bank. I think it was like a little carnival because you had different people lined up on different piles of stones. And that was a frank and it was a rigorous and reasoned discussion. But you started off, the bloke said, stand up there and start talking. I said, there's no one here. Well, he says, that's the point, you fool. See, because they'll only come if you're interesting. And they'll stay as long as you're interesting, and they'll leave when you stop being interesting. So it's a bit like the Wheeler Centre, isn't it? You come because you're doing other things, aren't you? Yeah, off he goes. You come, and then you go when you feel like it. So I mean, I'm fascinated. We also did it down there, Elizabeth Street. I remember in a doorway on Sunday nights, dark, raining. Get in the doorway, stand up on a little thing, not as flash as this, but stand up on a little thing, and you honestly got the impression you were speaking to the passing trams, you know, because that's all that was happening. Until, if you press the right button, like you said, the Pope was a covert homosexual. Or somebody would yell out, "Why covert?" You know. So then you'd have a bit of, argy-bargy and you'd keep them there as long as they were interested, and then when they lost interest, they go away somewhere else. So, I mean, that's the same with this, with I'm sorry that if there are any writers here, because there's just something to do with writing, isn't it? Allegedly, because I had a couple of people try to write a biography of myself. I warned them, I said, there's nothing to write. So don't you waste time. Boring, boring, boring. Nothing, never jumped off Mount Everest or anything. You know, can talk underwater, but that's not. And then the first bloke who did it his name was Monegal. What was his name? Terry Monegal. He's written a couple of books, but he died. Not because he was writing, I hope, you know. And then another nice man was going to try. That nice man has just written a book called The Grand Hotel. What's his name? Quick. Day. Greg Day, is it? Poet and writer. But as soon as we were there after Monegal died, God rest his soul, and Greg came along and said, I think I'd like to try. So he tried for a couple, gave up. And then the third bloke came along, who was the local postie. God's sake, which is, I thought, And because he wanted to tell the story of because he'd been there 30 years, and I've been there 30 years in South Melbourne, Port Melbourne. He's been delivering letters, including to my place. And at my place, I had a standard poodle, black standard poodle, who always used to jump up at the letterbox when the postie came. Rattled and barked and all, I thought, this is awful, because I've got a soft spot for the posties and for the working class, being a Mick. The working class. So this bloke that dog died, and I replaced that one, died at 20, with a rescued poodle, for God's sake. Because believe it or not, there's any poodle lovers? Standard poodle, you ever got a rescue squad? If you find out that there's a standard poodle somewhere in detention, apart from Christmas Island, well then you've got a rescue squad that goes and picks the dog up and takes it to whoever wants a replacement for their defunct poodle. So I didn't know there was such a system. I mean, I've been trying to get that going for human beings. I can't get it to go for human beings, but I mean, they've got a very sophisticated rescue team for standard poodles, because it is beneath the dignity of standard poodles to be held in captivity with lesser dogs. The underclass dog, you see. So we replaced him with this black standard poodle, and the postie was quite, because he thought the other one come back from the dead. This one never jumped at the letterbox. Didn't do anything like that to terrify the postie. So the postie and I formed a strategic alliance, and he's still trying to get the, what do you call it, manuscript accepted by a publisher. Be that as it may, all I'm talking about is how you need a civil society, whether you have politicians or not. That's all I'm saying. I mean, they can do as they like, but when the chips are down, it's up to some of us to continue to try to animate what we call a civil society, don't we? There's no good just having a society. Society's only a heap of people. See what I mean? But what we bang on about is a community, isn't it? And a lot of people get confused because they think they've got community. They haven't. They've only got society. Localised. Heap of people. Bushfires can achieve the change from society to community. Bushfires can. Floods can. Ghastly crimes. Lockerbie. Places can change from being a heap of people into being a community, but it takes blood, toil, tears and sweat. Whatever happens in the state or whatever happens in the Commonwealth, there's going to have to be a persisting underlayer of human beings, men, women and children, who in fact are prepared to put other people first and thereby create the miracle of the species, which is people living together in harmony and putting the other person in first before himself, herself. It's a pious thought. I mean, it suits me because I'm a covert evangelist. It suits me because I can go banging on about God said and in the beginning and Jesus came and said, and then somebody will say, what about the other religions? You keep talking about Christianity. I'll talk about Buddhism and Hinduism and Islam and the Jews and all of them because it's the same. Any Karen Armstrong fans? No? Make a note. Google Karen Armstrong, because she's written enormously deep and meaningful books about religion not over the centuries only, over the millennia. And she said there was a time, I don't know how long ago it is now, about, 5,000 years ago, when in fact human beings all around the place, they're still putting on TV shows, aren't they, to try to ask us to make a connection between the Easter Island monoliths, don't they, and Stonehenge, and what's over and the pyramids in Latin America, and the pyramids in Egypt, and how this and how what, and all of that. They're trying to get us to what the hell this is. Seems to be some mysterious network. You know what I mean? And Karen Armstrong insists that, in fact, if you look closely at the evidence, well, then you'll find that there was a pivotal moment. Is it 5,000 years ago around the world, where in fact different ethnic groups in fact produced extraordinarily clear thinkers who in fact did reform the existing, the contemporary form of religion, whether it was in Egypt or whether it was in Palestine or whether it was in China or India, wherever. Something happened. And I'm saying that, in fact, that persistent appetite of human beings for community is what I would suspect we should all be dedicated to. Maybe there's another pivotal moment here. Maybe there is. Not because she called an election, for God's sake. That's politics. But pivotal moments may well come from trivial, political decisions and exercises, whether it's an exercise in folly or whatever it is. The fact of the matter is the human spirit at its best is able to rise above all of that stuff and sniff the opportunity of doing what we suspect that we should be doing all the time, and that is building community. I'm saying, because I'm a bleeding heart and what else do we call a social activist, aren't we, or something? Pinko leftist, well, you don't have to be pinko leftist to be a social activist, you know what I mean? Even the bloke who wrote, who's the bloke who wrote Wealth of Nations? That fella, see, he was a social activist. He warned the rich. He said, hang on. Well, all right, you're making all your money, but don't forget you're making your money out of the blood, toil, tears and sweat of the workers. So he said, fair go. Noblesse oblige, isn't it? And the rich are supposed to know that they've only got their money through the blood, toil, tears and sweat of other people, for God's sake. Must stick out like a dog's ears, doesn't it? Where do they think they got the money from? Oh, we inherited it from them. Well, they got it from the blood, toil, tears and sweat of the slaves and of the serfs and of the working class. You can't have money otherwise, for God's sake. So even Adam, you see, is a social activist. What we've come to, I think, and it's almost time to go, what we've come to, I think, in this day and age is we've got one of those pivotal moments, because now we're wired. You can't get away from... You'd have to be almost, I daren't say this because it's probably discriminatory, is it? Blind, deaf and dumb? No. I don't think you're allowed to say that. Is there a word? You'd have to be mindless. She's taken offence. See what I mean? Can't say that either. You'd have to be ignorant of the world around us if you didn't realise that we're all more closely united now than we've been before in the history of the human race, isn't it? Yes or no? Yeah, well, think about it, but you shouldn't think too long. More. We now know more than any other generation of human beings have ever known, isn't it? We've got so much information. That's why we're tired all the time. You think it's something like dengue fever or something. It's not dengue fever at all. It's burnout. They're stuffing us with information. That's why they should have not had that election. Health and safety should have told them that it was an offence. Because we haven't got the time or the energy. We're worn out already. And she pulls a rabbit out of her hat and says, guess what, folks, we'll have an election in 6 weeks. Oh, God. Not because we don't want to have an election, but we don't want it now. We're too tired. You see, politics says, no, it's got to be done now. Well, the wired generation, the WWW, I think is it drags us into the future, see. I'm 50 years commissioned Roman Catholic priest, which is neither here nor there, but I mean, they're going to have a bun fight on Sunday. It's going to go on and on and on, about 50 years, and I'm getting tired already, you know, because they're going to drag me back into the past now, you know, as well as the present. I was more concerned with the future, you see, because whatever we've done in the past and whatever we're doing in the present, you see, the future is there beckoning us all the time, pleased to take the next step in the evolution of the human race. It's a pivotal moment. There's a few essential ingredients that have come together, like that being wired, and there's a few other essential ingredients. There seems to be a thirst and a hunger for justice and peace, doesn't there? Seems to be, around the world. And now would be a good time for every man, woman and child to come to the aid of the Commonwealth. See? Stop talking about federal and state and start talking Commonwealth, because that's what we were, wasn't it? In the beginning, wasn't it? The Constitution, which you carry in your purse, of course. Every Australian has to carry the because isn't the first sentence or whatever it is, does anybody know it off by heart? Whereas the people of Australia... No? Well, I can make it up. Whereas the people of Australia decided to form a Commonwealth. That's the word, isn't it? Not monarchy, not republic, not church, not corporation, not team. The word Commonwealth. And I like that word seems to cover everything. Because we're all in this together, but we're all in it for the Commonwealth. Emotional Commonwealth we need. See? We know we need a social Commonwealth, see? Well, people bobbing around in boats trying to get here, what are they looking for? They're looking for Commonwealth, aren't they? You see? No, come here, why? Why? Why not? Why not? Why not? Where the people of Australia decided to form a Commonwealth. And see, that's what I think you have to, whether because of or despite elections, the fact of the matter is some of us have to decide that our vocation is in fact to be the torchbearer for this mysterious Commonwealth. And people talking about the future of Australia, we're talking about our past. Who are we? Watch on the ABC, is it tonight? The Making, is it? What's the name? The Making of Australia. It's very, 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 very. I said to him, because we interviewed him the other day on the wireless, I said to him, oh, a bit spooky this book, see, because it's like I don't need a biography anymore. It's better than a biography because, in fact, you're reading about yourself, but only as part of a Commonwealth. See? Not the story about little Bobby was born in 1934, and his mother and his father, and they all died, and once he went to, and no. But little Bobby Maguire was part of, from 1900 and from after the World War II, I think, he takes it up until the present minute. And it's a fascinating story of ordinary people doing extraordinary things, and ordinary generations exceeding the expectations of their elders. Extraordinary. And even the poor old Roman Catholic Church, for God's sake, because that covers the period of Vatican II, as we call it in-house, which was the total revolution and the fulfilment of the Reformation. That gets a good go. So it's nice to see us when we were at our best, you know, which was 60s, 70s, start going on the blink, 80s, 90s we're definitely on the blink, and 2000, I'm surviving the revolution, but in fact the revolution has been parked in a garage somewhere and won't be coming out again until there's been a change of mind. I think, once again, not waiting for the bosses or the bishops to decide to do something, because I think you'll wait till the cows come home, waiting for the trickle-up reformation from the grassroots, where we, the people, tell the bosses that, in fact, we're not going to put up with it anymore. Of course women should be priests, of course, of course. Everybody knows, for God's sake. Anybody read Barbara, what's her name, the American historian? Make a note. Tuchman, what's it? Tuchman? She wrote make a note, a history of folly. Well, the century of folly, something of folly. When she said there's 100 years in the European history and Roman Catholic history, feudal history, it only took 100 years for the whole damn show almost to implode, because a succession of lunatics got into positions of supreme authority. Succession, one after the other. Pum, 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 pum. Where the little boy Pope comes from, you know what I mean? And probably Pope Joan or something, the woman, and the Borgias, and who's the other lot? The other Italian family. Medici, all of that lot. They're all in there for 100 years, and they're all wrecking the joint. You see? Smashed the place to pieces. And you see, that's what we're saying, that maybe we have to go through these ages of folly. See, before something, and it can't be overcome until you get a trickle-up reformation. And of course it came in those times from the founding of religious orders. Religious orders were supposed to be revolutionaries. Francis of Assisi and all those famous women who went on the streets in Paris during the revolution, you know. It was all revolutionary. Rome is smart because Rome, in fact, ended up endorsing the revolutionary groups and calling them religious orders, which immediately, of course, as soon as somebody treats you with a bit of, oh, hello, this is the Reverend Mother from the religious order, well, hello, they're supposed to be on the street helping prostitutes. Well, they don't have to anymore because we're recognising them as a religious order. They all live in a monastery. They'll never go out again. And they can read the story of their founder over and over and over and over again, and that'll keep them going, which is the danger of what they're doing to Mary MacKillop. They've dragged her off to Rome, haven't they? So we're all supposed to be taking up collections galore so that people can go to Rome for the canonisation of Mother Mary MacKillop. which is the Roman technique. It's brilliant. It's like the US of A. It's brilliant. The imperial model knows what to do to destroy a reform. You make your enemy your friend. So back to where we are here in Australia, I'm saying the trick will trickle up, trickle up, trickle up. Devolution of power. And it's a bit hard on Aussies because Aussies are lazy. You know what I mean? It's how. Why wouldn't we be? We earned it. We came in chains, for God's sake. We don't want to be here. We want to be home. I want to be in Glasgow. You know, on the Clyde. And others want to. My mother used to say, keep talking about home. I said, Mum, we're home. And she, no, it's home. She's talking about the old country. See? And all of us here, apart from the original owners, did we express our gratitude to the original owners for the use of their land? Well, we've done it. But you see, all the rest of us, of course, are boat people, aren't we? No, I came by plane. Don't give fair go. Flying boat. And here we're forming a Commonwealth. You see what I mean? To me, you see, it's a marvellous concept. It keeps me going through the night. And it also keeps me going as a church person, because I believe churches are meant to be at the disposal of the local community. Literally at the disposal. They're supposed to sacrifice themselves for the local community. If they don't do that, they stop being churches. But I mean, they fall into the trap which is there waiting for us, because human beings, unfortunately or fortunately, have an appetite for institutions, haven't we? We can't get on without them in the West. See? 200 years we've had to the age of enlightenment. We're supposed to say that every boy and girl in the audience, and even me, allegedly, should be able to do extraordinary things by using our reason, isn't it? Says the age of enlightenment. But now look at the predicament we're in. See? Because we've, unfortunately, in the West, we've only used reason. You see? Other parts of the world, they haven't used reason, they've used the heart, haven't they? See? They feel. You'd say they feel too much, and they think too little. They'd say we think too much, and we feel too little. So once again, we're at one of those pivotal stages in the evolution of the human being, where we've got to try to learn the wisdom. Takes me to point number, whatever it is, time to go. Yell out if you want to yell out. Point number 2 is, what did I say, the other point, Claire? The www I was going to mention, wasn't it? The World Wide Web. www.www, I've tried to wrap my head around that. The World Wide Web of wisdom, worship and work. I have to as a church person. See? Because I can't keep going on the previous capital that was earned by the Imperial Church. See? Because it's now valueless almost, apart from the members, the inside people. That's the 10%. 90% haven't got any use for it, even though they're registered members. 10% have. They live off the capital. They're enjoying themselves at the top. We're not at the bottom, the 90% of us. So I've got to try and redesign something for a local church, and for the people who are connected with me through the web, which is probably more than they're connected with me through real life. See what I mean? www, World Wide Web, yes, beautiful idea. www on top of wisdom. I think wisdom's got to be put in the position of priority. See? And fortunately, Karen Armstrong raises this point, fortunately, wisdom, even in the Jewish Torah, is mentioned before God. In the beginning was the Word. See? And the Word was God. There's something else going on. One of the great Irish theological writers of our time, Catholic, is a bloke called O'Murchu. I'm not pronouncing it right. If there's anybody Irish? Omurchu. He talks about wisdom as being the relational matrix. See, he says, listen, we better start. That's why I don't want to get into a fight with Dawkins or Hitchens, isn't it? Because they're talking about a God that's a midget. It's too little for me. I don't want to get into arguments. We interviewed both of them. We ended up kissing and cuddling. And Safran, as usual, said, there you are, you're a bloody fraud, Bob. Because you kiss and cuddle, I come in here and you're supposed to be attacking them, for God's sake, and instead of that you're all saying, oh, I think your book was absolutely marvellous. You know, the Archbishop had a stroke. See? Because I'm saying in the book there's things to learn, that's all I'm saying. And I'm saying I'm not offended by what he says about God, because the God he's offending is not my God. Mine's beyond offence. See, once you get to the cross, you're beyond offence. See? If you've got a dead God and the dead God is happy with you, well then why should you take offence? There's nothing to take offence. There's nothing left to take offence at. See what I mean? In the beginning was the Word, wisdom. Now I think that's a noble cause for all of us to pursue. Don't admit to following God and don't admit to following religion, but for God's sake admit to trying to become wiser. Isn't it? In the beginning was the wisdom, worship. Well, I've got to toss it in because fortunately or unfortunately we seem to be mad on worship. See? Ritual, I mean. Put ritual of some kind. You know, got your shoes under the bed together, aren't they? It's a ritual, isn't it? I know you can go too far and you become obsessive compulsive, you know, you can't even get into your own room because you're too nervous to make it untidy. You know what I mean? Stay outside, you know. But I mean, rituals, they're all over the place, rituals. And they're part of human nature, see, because we know there's something else going on. Don't call it God, for God's sake, don't call it God. The Aussies, strangely enough, I get away with calling it good. The Aussies, oh, that's all right, we like that, that's good. And I said, by the way, it's God. What the fuck? It's God. Good? Good? Oh, thanks, that sounds all right. Well, I mean, God's only one letter different, isn't it? You see? I keep saying if you do good, you're doing God. The Aussies like that. They were offended by God because they came here in chains and they were sent here by magistrates. And a lot of the magistrates said that they were doing it in the name of God. Back there in the old country, you know what I mean? And here people were flogged by magistrates who were claiming to be exercising the divine right through Her Majesty, wasn't it? And the Aussies never forgotten it. It's as if you and I had been flogged. So it's in the psyche, isn't it? See, there's a thing, the Greeks, any Greeks? Where the hell are you? Ethos, isn't it? There's a thing called ethos, which is what the Mayor would be banging on about, because, you see, he needs to establish the fact that Melbourne, marvellous Melbourne, it has got its own ethos. It's different from Sydney's ethos. See what I mean? Ethos, close to, as you picked up immediately, ethnic. See what I mean? Ethics. It's Greek. Most of those basic words are Greek anyway, which was one of the parts of the pivotal moment was when the Greeks start to think. And they produced the philosophers. And the philosophers produced the framework for the Western world to think. And the East took it over, of course, because we went bung. What was the century when the Roman Empire went bung? 4, 5? Along came Muhammad, who said, well, the West bung. We should have something in the East, get us through the night. Nobody else is interested in us. So then they saved the West, didn't they? Muhammad and Islam. Preserved the philosophy of the Greeks. Preserved lots of the ancient documents. And held them in trust. Islam did, in that marvellous social experiment of, where is it? Quick. Spain. Quick, Google. In Spain. Marvellous experiment. We all lived happily together. Jews, Christians and Muslims, didn't we? laboratory. See? So I'm saying the WWW is terribly important to me. Wisdom, worship and work. I'm saying, I know the West is mad on work, isn't it? You're looking at your watch. Oh, God, I've got to be back there, you know. Chronos, isn't it? There's another time called Kairos. Kairos is a special time, which is not limited to Chronos. Chronos says, well, it's now 20 minutes past 1 and she's going to throw him out. See? But Kairos, you see, is one that says, don't worry about what time. It's like yesterday when I buried a lady, 90 years of age, out there in St Albans. She said, we're looking in the hole. And that's Kairos. So it would be obscene to say, listen, excuse me, would you hurry this up, please? We're burying a human being, for God's sake. We're the only species that does, aren't we? Yes? See? This is a special time.